Welcome back. Okay, I'm sharing my screen and just enable live streaming. I have collected a few agenda items from community, and here we have topics around updates from KubeCon Europe, a new patch release of notation CLI with 1.3.2 as a patch release, and another issue related to the static check report from a user. And also the community meeting schedule poll result. Last but not least, there's another proposal to archive the notary, the legacy notary repository, since Docker is also removing the Docker content trust. Here's the work items. Here's the agenda items that I have been collected from the community. And Victor, I just heard you wanna share something in our community meeting. So do you get a chance to add to the agenda, or you wanna share it?
Well, just share at the end because I don't even know how to call it at this point. Maybe after sharing, you go know how to call it. Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of informal topic.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, great. I think we should reserve some time for you to share some ideas or new findings. Okay, if for no more agenda topics, we will start from our existing one. The first one is the updates from KubeCon EU. So as we may know that we have Ian Toddy, who just get back from London last week, and I believe there should be a bunch of highlights and connections with our partners, users, and also our also other CNCF projects. So I'm eager to hear any highlights from KubeCon EU. Anyone, E or maybe E or Toddy, anyone want to share some stories from KubeCon EU?
E, do you want to go first?
Yes. Yeah, I can go first. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's quite clear.
Yeah. So I think overall it has been a great experience in London. My first takeaway is that the lightning talk. I think the lightning talk is really helpful and it is actually beyond my expectation because this time the lightning talk was held in a very big room with thousands of attendees attending in the meeting room. And I did the Notary Project lightning talk talking about the signing arbitrary block files and also another lightning talk for Ratify projects. And the Ratify actually can consume Notary Project signatures. So it's kind of related. As there are thousands of attendees in the meeting room, and it attract a lot of traffic later on for the maintenance track and also the project booths. So most users they stop by the booth talking about the lightning talk that I did in the first day of April. So I think the lightning talk, although it is only 5 minutes, but it's really helpful to attract traffic to your project booth, especially you have a very good point in the 5 minutes. That is the first thing. I think we can continuously leverage the lightning talk for the KubeCon in the this year and also next year. This is one thing. Another thing is I actually hosted the project booth almost 2 days, and in the 2 days, the frequent asked question is actually about the end-to-end experience. So user asking question about sign during build, and also later on how to verify the signatures. I think those questions are also coming from the Lightning Talk, because I shared this end-to-end experience talking about from the acquiring container images to deploying container images. So most of the questions are very interested in the whole end-to-end experience and how Notary projects the role Notary project played. I also mentioned the Ratify because from the Kubernetes point of view, it is Ratify used to validate the Notary project signatures during deployment. And that's the second thing. For the Notary project maintenance track, I presented with a company, Orange Logic, and I think the overall the session went well, and we received some questions after the session, but still the question is related how they can sign with multiple, for example, multiple certificates during build, and how to handle these multiple signatures during verification. Yeah, and I also, because Notary project booth is very close to the in-total community booth, I talked with the in-total maintainers about the collaboration on the attestation, that we have this issue in our roadmap, and we discussed some challenges, like the payload size could be very large if we include the raw payload, and also the signature format. So currently it is the DC envelope, and how about the cozy envelope that the Notary project supports? We discussed a bit, and we agreed that we can bring this to the in-total community meeting for further discussion. Yeah, that's yeah, that's from my side. Todi, maybe you have more to add on.
Yeah, actually, a few more things. I mostly kind of met with either users or other communities of who are interested in either signing and verification, just to understand what their plans are. One of the things that I got from a couple of end users was they did evaluations between, let's say, cosign and notation. Some of them went with cosign for usability reasons. So investing more into usability of our tooling is important. That's what kind of they said. It seems that the signing with cosign, although with they use cosign only, they don't, for example, use anything else from the SIG store, but as a tool, cosign seems to be more usable than notation and more user friendly. So that was one of the decisions. Coming back to kind of other things, I spent some time talking with tax security, as well as similar to E, also in the in-total community. The end-to-end experience is important. Usability is important, of course. Tax security. So there is some interesting thing that actually tax security provides these security assessments that we can do. So it will be worth looking at those and kind of engaging with tax security to not only for kind of like having security audit, but also having a longer term guidance what we would like to do with Notary project in general. I think that's kind of everything in addition to what he said. The actual presentations, I believe, went pretty well. And as Dee mentioned, so there was a lot of attendance on both the lightning talk as well as the maintainers talk. So yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Yi and Tali, for sharing those highlights and our connections with partnering communities and our potential users. So in terms of, Yi, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention is that I also received some comments on the our release assets, and it is recommended to produce, for example, spawn and other, for example, other attestations for the Notary project release assets. As we are also project in the security area, so those security assets could help to prove the assets are secure and also follow the standard way. I think there is as Toddy just mentioned, there are some guidance from the target security that for the project to produce attestations such as spawn for project release assets. I think we can plan this for the future work. That's it.
Thanks. Did you hear any advice from CNCF TOC?
No
maintenance
advice
track?
from TOC specifically on Notary projects, but I also joined the maintainer summit. So from TOC point of view, there are some work they planned, for example, to review the project health. And this will including not only the incubating projects, but also sandbox and also graduated projects. They want to review the project health, and I think this was triggered from some feedback that some projects stays in one stage for quite a long time. So they would like to review those projects and maybe identify some actions that projects needed to take.
Okay, so to wrap up, I think 4 things that I have been captured from your sharing. One is to identify the usability gaps between notation and cosign. Second thing is maybe we will need to prioritize our collaboration with in-total community, especially for how notation can integrate and build the interoperability with in-total attestation. Third thing is that CNCF TOC will start the health review on their projects and Notary project as a CNCF incubating project. We should be prepared for the health review. The last thing is we received comments to publish supply chain security metadata like SBON, signature, vulnerability scanning report for notations release assets. Anything else? If not, I think that's the updates for KubeCon EU. Thank you again. Thank you, Yi, for supporting Notary project, maintenance track, lightning talk, and also talk with those our partners and users in person. And thank you, Toddy, for supporting the whole event. just a heads up, as KubeCon North America is opening its CFP 2 weeks ago. So I think we also have the chance to submit proposals and maintenance track and other project opportunities to KubeCon North America. The due date is May 27. Just in case you may ignore that information, the KubeCon North America is opening its CFP. So just share the link here. And for Josh, if you hear any interests from AWS, especially any Notary project maintainers who want to collaborate on a CFP on KubeCon North America, feel free to talk with us.
Yeah, I will. I'll pass that along.
Thank you. Okay, that's the thing for KubeCon EU and also KubeCon North America. Next topic, which is also the update from our last discussion around a CVE fix in notation CLI. There was a user who raised a pull request to bump up the dependency of notation CLI and updated Golang JWT dependency. And also the user requested cut a patch release for notation CLI. I think so far this pull request has been merged, and I believe we should consider an ETA for cutting a patch release as a security patch. Then we can inform this user upgrade their CLI to the latest version. So I would like to see if we can start the release vote this week and also trigger the release process.
Fitman, I'll start the vote today.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Hey, Yi.
I have a question.
Oh, Junjie or Yi? Junjie?
I have a question.
Yeah, please, Junjie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. The release to include the Golang JWT update. Hello?
Sorry, Junjie, you was disconnected for 1 or 2 seconds. Can you say it again?
Let me type in the
Okay, we will follow up on your text message in the chat if your connection is not stable. Hey, Yi, I just saw your hands up. Any comments?
Yeah, I noticed there are some other issues for example, in notation Go, and also I think there is another issue in notation as well. Should we consider all this issue fixed and release the patch, or we just release the patch release for this only first?
Oh, for another 2 issues raised from another user, which is
Yeah,
a engineer from NGX.
Yes. I think those issues were reported last week, end of last week.
Yeah, last Friday. And this contributor is quite active over the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure whether this issue is kind of such urgent or impact the quality of the project, because it's kind of a code analysis issues. I'm open to hear some opinions from other maintainers. This is a static analysis check from a Golang analysis code analysis check tool. And this user also shared his interest in fixing these two issues by
yes, we should prepare for fixing it. And this stack check is new, and actually, other project have already adopted it, so we should adopt it also.
Do you think the static check reports related issues should be included in 1.3.2, the patch release that we have been planned?
It won't block anything because it's purely code improvement. It's nothing to do with the purpose of bug fix. It's not related to that. It's just the code style.
Okay, I hear you. As this issue author expressed his interest in fixing these two issues by his own, so I would suggest that we can assign these two issues to the author and wait for his pull request to resolve these two. Meanwhile, I was thinking whether we can.
Sounds good.
Yeah. I was thinking whether we can introduce this tool, the static check report in our CI workflow, so that we can regularly check every pull request once any new code introduced. If no more concerns, first I will assign these two issues to the issue author. Because this also mentioned that this issue can be reproduced if we run the static check as a GitHub Actions in a CI pipeline. So I'm thinking that maybe we can also add this static check to our CI so that every new code change can be detected by this tool.
Yeah, I think maybe we can create another issue. So if anyone want to work on this, we can use another issue to track that.
Sounds good. So I think to wrap up, we will cut the patch release for notation 1.3.2 with this new CVE included, new CVE fix included. And Patrick will drive the patch release today and start the voting process. So I think
Feynman, actually, there are some questions in the chat.
Oh, sorry, maybe I missed.
So Jinji is asking, we have the same fix in notation Go and notation Cargo. Do we want to release them first? And afterwards,
should
yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, we should update the dependency first, and then finally the notation CI.
okay, I assume those two libraries will also impact the notation CLI because that CVE was fixed in corresponding libraries. Okay, I think that's valid. We may need to add a new release for two Golang libraries and also the CLI. And as we discussed last time, I think the new release voting process will also require maintainers from different organizations. So Josh, would you mind maybe ping Pritesh and Vani and also Rakesh on the release vote? We're gonna have a new release vote for 3 projects very soon. Hey Josh, can you hear us?
Oh, sorry, I was still muted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, do you have a link to do we have a link to that yet? I can share that once we have that.
That is in our plan, and we're gonna trigger the release process in relevant repositories. So I think the release vote will be started today or later. We will be sharing the release vote in our Slack channel.
Okay, I can make sure folks have seen that.
Okay. Thank you, Josh. Any questions around the security patch release? If not, I think we can move on. And we just briefly talked about the static check report issues from the user. And the conclusion is that we will wait for the user from NGX company to fix those 2 issues. And those 2 issues does not block anything. Okay, let's move on. The next topic is to discuss our community meeting schedule change. Previously, I think we started the meeting new schedule vote in our community repository, and there are 2 meeting series created at least 3 or 4 weeks ago. So far, I think most of the regular attendees have voted on different series. There's one for APAC friendly and another one for US friendly. I think it's time to finalize the polls since we have been waiting for around 1 month. And so far, looks like for APAC friendly, the first option, 1:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. UTC time seems to be more appropriate for APAC folks. So we're gonna reserve this time slot for attendees in APAC. And Shui has a valid comment here, since most of the attendees will join only one series in their time zone. That means the meeting in our current proposal, which will be monthly instead of biweekly. So Shui suggests us having a biweekly meeting for each single time zone so that we can still have more frequent connections with folks in those two different time zones. I think that's a valid concern. So I think maybe in our current stage, we don't need to change the meeting cadence. We still keep the overall cadence as weekly, but we will split them into two different series, which means the cadence will be biweekly for a single time zone. The cadence can be changed in the future if new attendees joined or there's less attendees joining in specific series, but we can change based on the activity. That is just my thoughts. If maintainers have any advice on the meeting cadence, feel free to share your thoughts here. And for another meeting series, which is US friendly, so far the first option, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific time, seems to be more appropriate because it has the highest vote so far. And I think this time slot is also kind of friendly for people in Europe. I talked with another new contributor, this issue author. He's in Ireland, and also he thought the first option is also friendly for his time zone because that will be 5 p.m. in Ireland. So I think the first option might be more flexible, and it can also cover a few time zones in Europe. So for US friendly schedule, I would suggest that we pick the first option as our second meeting series and keep it as biweekly. In terms of the meeting cadence and also the meeting schedule, any comments, any suggestions here? If no concerns, and by default, we will implement and update the meeting schedule by following the result of those two polls and also update the CNCF meeting calendar since next week. Okay. Oh, just to double confirm, Josh, I remember you voted the third option last time because you mentioned 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific time is much more friendly for you. How about the first option, which is also the most popular one?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. And for the first option, I believe it is also friendly for Vani. who is working in US East time zone, right? Okay. If no more concerns, I'm gonna update the meeting schedule and also update the CNCF calendar before the next meeting. This will be our new schedule. Let's move on. Next item is one of the proposal to archive the legacy notary repository. Well, this issue was opened by E, and I believe last year we have been discussed this issue a while, but eventually it was passed because there's a maintainer from Docker who shared his concern on the existing usage of Docker Content Trust and Notary in Docker and Microsoft. But looks like recently, Docker is starting removing the Docker Content Trust from Docker CLI, and also Microsoft is starting deprecation of Content Trust in their product. So I'm thinking that we can bring this proposal back and have maintainers to continue vote on this proposal. The reason being is that recently I have noticed a few users are still raising new issues and even raise pull requests to this repository. For example, the issue author, which is also the one that we just talked. This issue author is still contributing to the legacy notary, but I can foresee that nobody will review this pull request and proceed this pull request. In order to avoid any confusions and also the negative branding, I think we should consider bring this proposal back and vote on this proposal. Maintainers, any thoughts for this proposal? Or maybe I should reserve more time for people to take a look at the backgrounds of this issue and maybe reserve some time for maintainers to vote asynchronously, because this issue has been there a while, and there are some historic conversation there. Hey, E, please.
Payment, can you go to the README of this repo?
The
This
legacy notary.
This is the, yeah, notary. Yeah, I think before I think it will take some time because it also requires Docker maintainers to vote or confirm. So maybe we can put a notice somewhere that this repository is not actively maintained, so that the user will know what is happening, so that to avoid any time they want to spend on this repository.
That's fair. I think at least users or contributors might be aware of the status. But my concern is that whether anybody from the legacy notary repository will respond or review that request.
You mean the note, the pull request to add a note? I think if the repository maintainer not responding, the org maintainer can help. Yeah, this is just a suggestion to avoid that the process takes too long time, but still some user is looking into this repository. We can at least add a note. And also for the deprecation, I mean, the deprecation process can be started or
in
already
parallel.
started maybe from Docker, but the completed remove the Docker content trust may take some time. So I'm not sure whether before that happen, this repository can be archived. Yeah, just a suggestion that before something happens, we can at least add a note so that the user will be aware of this.
Sounds fair. I think we can we can continue the vote of the archiving proposal and also create a pull request in the legacy notary repository, because in parallel, we can avoid any confusions for new users and also contributors. And also org level maintainers can help proceed that pull request if no response from Docker. Okay, I have a question for Victor. Victor, as you are new to the Notary project, can you differentiate the brand or the term before notary and also notation notary project? I sometimes heard you call it notary, so I'm not sure whether you are referring to the legacy notary or the notation, the notary project. Just a small survey.
Yeah, I mean, notary, it's I don't know why you asked that. It does remind me of the notary service in the bank.
I'm asking this because I guess users, newcomers might be confused about the luxury notary. People also call it Docker content trust. That is what we are discussing to archive, because that project is no longer active. And I'm afraid that users may not be clear about those different terms.
I'm not quite sure. I guess I need more details on where the confusion come from.
Okay, I think maybe you are not aware of the original notary project, notary repository.
Well, if you can give me this maybe offline a little more detail, I can give you my impression from a fresh pair of eyes, I guess, on the name.
Okay, I think Victor, you can take a look at this issue offline. Then you may have some context on the question that I was asking. Okay, I saw your thumbs up. Any other thoughts or comments for the proposal of archiving legacy notary repository? If not, we will move on. And I think the signal here is that we will accelerate the process of archiving the notary repository because at least 2 vendors are already starting removing Docker Content Trust from their integration. So going forward, I think we can reduce the confusion for more users. And also, I will raise a pull request in the legacy notary repository to indicate that this project is no longer active and maintained. Okay, Victor, I think we can reserve some time for maybe a few minutes for you to share some thoughts on signing or maybe other
It's not about signing, but it's
aspects.
actually, yeah, if you can maybe let me share my screen here, that'll be
Okay,
easy to,
I've stopped my sharing.
oh, give me 1 second. Yeah, it's actually related to the topic I brought up before. I think, can you see this gateway architecture screen here now? Okay, so this is not directly related, but I want to use it to show why, at least for me, it's something that is interesting and whether, it's something that Notary project could be, interested as well. So I use gateway architecture, but it doesn't mean it's directly related to Notary in any way. Obviously, it's part of the ecosystem, but it's not related to signing. So this is the old architecture, right? So there's some problem with there's some enhancement to it. I'm not sure you're aware of, which is called Gateway API. And you can tell that it's different because it's now have a different resource model and have a different personas. So they separated the resources and separated the corresponding persona, whether it's infrastructure provider, class operator, and application developers. So they have different roles so that it becomes more flexible. I don't want to go into details because I don't know that much detail either. And if you're interested, there's actually quite a few. This one, the owner, the guy who started Code Cloud has a pretty good explanation on what API is. So that's and so what I want to use that example is why is this important? It's important because if you're a security guy, then this is OWASP is one of the community that go into a lot of discussion about security. And then this is one of the so-called OWASP top 10 for API security. It's on the Commons website actually. And one of them is about broken functional level authorization. And Kong have its own security mechanism already to make sure that functionality level authorization is assigned properly. There's no authorization problem. The prevent any consumer using the improper role to access the proper route. So this gateway API resolve that. And then if I'm a security engineer, I know this is the old stuff, this is new stuff, but with the new the gateway API, it's more fine grained. So I understand the trust model more. I have a more understanding of more persona more, right? So this allows me to analyze security much better, right? So coming back, this is now becoming a little bit related to notary tough and of course in total as well, right? It's about when I'm a security engineer, I know this gateway API security problem. I know the best practices. How do I analyze the problem? I come here. I go to MITRE's defend website or attack website to tell what is the model. Like in this case, how do I protect the secure SSH authorization keys, right? I use access modeling, right, to model how the SSH authorization keys are accessed. Right? And also there are ways to isolate it. For example, I restrict user account permission to restrict access to SSH key authorization keys. Same thing for the keychain, right? I think this is in a way related to Notary and Tough and in total, right? How do I harden the access to the key, model it, isolate it, evict it, restore if there's a problem, if there's a defect, what to do, and then yeah. So this is about that. Then so this is um, so by analyzing the details of the actual resources and who need access. In other words, what is the current infrastructure? What is the trust model? What is the persona? I'll be able to more readily, easier for me to, as a security engineer, to isolate, provide guardrails to say, in a gateway, what should you do? If you're an infrastructure provider, do this, the best practices to the gateway class. If you're a class operator, do this little thing to the gateway resource to make sure it's secure. When you develop applications, do this to that, the resource you manage is secured, right? So same thing for AI. So there's another project also from MITRE called Atlas, which is this AI security, but they also have a matrix, very similar. I was able to drill into details on the actual security problem related to AI, and then identify the corresponding defense and mechanism and all the technical details behind it. Right. So yeah. So this is just an example. The main thing is this is the picture I really want to see. So this is something that Gateway API is really useful. I think it started with really clear understanding what is the trust model and then the personas associated with it. That's why I think Notary, if it's possible to clearly define what's Notary's trust model compared with like a Sigstore, then it's possible to have maybe something new down the road, which will in turn help security engineers to define, how to do the, analyze security threat and defend any threat appropriately. Yeah. So that's why I don't know what is not directly related, but it's sort of, yeah, that's all. Any comments, questions?
Thank you, Victor. I think the examples that you shared here is still relevant to the threat model that you have been asked last time. And
Yeah.
you would expect that we can have a threat model, or not threat model, a trust model of Notary project, and especially comparing it with Sigstore, so that security engineers can understand the values that we as Notary project provide to the users.
Exactly. Because at this point, I know roughly what Notary does, what Sigstore does, but I don't know the details. I don't know what kind of API resources are defined for Notary versus Sigstore. And because I understand Notary is more feature rich, but how, right? Because I don't understand the details here. So I don't know. And then of course the persona used is also different, right? Because for enterprise users, maybe it's different from Sigstore when it comes who will be using the infrastructure for signing and so signing what, right? And then how to after this, what is the difference in the workflow? Yeah, all those could be answered if we start with some more detailed understanding of the trust model.
I saw comments from Toddy and Shui.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, kind of a more detailed trust model. As I said, I'm a generalist. I'm just come here to talk to an expert about your project, and there's need basically. You can see that how to this for example this is uh yeah uh yeah so in security I mean, there's a need to do that. So now there are already communities talking about, for API gateway, right? What kind of guardrail we need first for AI? Okay, that will be totally not totally different, but a lot of them are like extra, not included here, right? But if we don't understand uh, all these details, there's no way to go to the next step to understand what kind of guardrail is needed and how to use Notary or Sigstore properly for signature and secure the supply chain.
Victor,
I can put
yeah,
that. Yeah, I can put it. So you want to just put everything in the Slack channel? Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
thank you, Victor. You just mentioned that we have a thread model. I believe we shared that thread model previously.
Mm. Oh, yeah, I think so. So it'd be good to compare with the Sigstore. Like what's the difference? Why? I know actual implementation is different, but what is the design goal for Sigstore versus Notary? What's the main difference? And then yeah, and of course, if possible, even go into the detail of currently what is the persona involved using Notary versus Sigstore. And then, yeah, I think that would be the good first step to understand what Notary is about.
Yes. What I am understanding that the current threat model is a part of the trust model that Victor is asking for. And like Shui mentioned, Victor, you may look for a trust model for the end-to-end scenario of the full tool chain instead of a single notation tool, right? And also compare
Yeah,
the
yeah. This is
scenarios goals with Sigstore.
yeah. Yeah. So this one is not yet. So actually, I don't have this actually before. So this is a good start. Um, so you can see that there are already a lot of good information involved. Like there's a trust boundary, and there's already it probably just need to define what's the difference between Notary and Sigstore, and then usually when trust model is created, it's usually just enough to create a thread model. It doesn't go into more details on like things that can lead to you know things like this, like how to what resources are available, how to go into details is it possible to change the abstractions somehow to make it kind of map to the persona who use the resources. I'm not saying that you can actually do that in Notary. Maybe that's not possible, but at least it give a clear picture, yeah, about Notary. Yeah, yeah. I said I actually I don't believe I saw this before, but it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, you can also take a look at the existing threat model. And for the broader trust model, would you also be able to create an issue for that question? We can maybe in the specification repository. This is the current one that you just opened.
Yeah, that the problem for me to create is I don't know what is needed at this point, to be honest. It's a general question of if I want to use Notary for AI governance, what is needed? How to either use Notary in a way that was never used before. Number two is change Notary for future roadmap to be able to support Notary. Um, at this point, I don't know what is even possible. That's why I'm just yeah, next week. Anyway, I think I just want to bring it up. If it's not something that cannot be um is out of scope for now or no interest, then yeah, I just still want to bring it up.
Based on the comments from the chat, I think at least some of the maintainers agreed that this is a valid question and we should have it documented and somewhere. So I was suggesting that you can attach those links and also the questions that you ask here in an issue so that it can be traceable in the community and also have enough visibility. And we will follow up in the issues and maybe create pull request for the questions you ask in the issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, E.
Hey, E.
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks, Victor, for these suggestions and insights. I'm thinking that maybe we can have a further discussion to understand your scenarios or the problem that you want to solve so that we can, because you mentioned some AI stuff, right? And you want to understand how a Notary project can help or plays kind of a role in the security. So I think to move forward, maybe we can have some other further discussion to understand more about your scenarios, and we will see any gaps or anything related to the threat model that we need to document or something that we missed previously we needed to add or work on.
Yeah, definitely. I'll keep coming here and just to use any remaining time available in the meetings to share what I find is the requirement. I would say that I'll probably bring the problem to you to see whether it can be solved here using Notary.
Yeah, yeah. I think we can definitely have a follow-up discussion later on.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are a bit over time. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Victor, for always sharing your insights in the community meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.